Hello, scholars, and welcome to Math with Mr. Ray. So remember, take all video notes. Make sure you're listening, right? So this homework assignment will be due Tuesday. This week and next week, homework will be a little longer because you have a really huge exam that is 2.2 tests in the same format as it in JSLA. So really pay attention. So, which of the following pairs of numbers represent opposite values? Right? Is it A, 7 and -7? B, 4 and 4, 3, -3 and -3, D, 6 and 8. Well, we know opposite is the same number with the same absolute value, just with different signs. So like opposite numbers are numbers with the same absolute value or like distance away from zero. So A says 7 and -7. Well, A is correct because they have the same absolute value, which means they're both 7 units away from zero. 4 and 4 are not opposites because it's the same number. Same thing with -3 and -3. And 6 and 8 have different distances from zero. So it's not B, not C, and not D. The answer is A. Okay. If you owe, pay attention to what I'm like highlighting. Owe your friend $5 and then borrow another two. What is the total amount of money you owe your friend? Well, numbers like owe and borrow mean the same thing, right? Because if you borrow, it means you owe, and if you owe, it means you borrow. So if you owe your friend $5, that's a -5, right? Or five less from you. And then if you borrow $2, that's another two. So -5 minus 2 equals -7, or which is the absolute value of -7. So you owe your friend $7. A hiker is at sea level at 0 feet. I love problems like these because you can draw, right? Sea level, 0 feet. Then he climbs. Climbs, this means you go up. Climbs up 200 feet. Then descends 150 feet. What is his final elevation? So you're at 200 feet, and then you descend 150 feet. You're left with 50 feet. Multiple choice. What is the absolute value of -12? So absolute value looks like this. It has two lines straight down. The absolute value of -12 is 12 because the absolute value means distance from is distance from 0. And it's always written as a positive, right? So the absolute value of negative 12 is positive 12 because the absolute value of negative 12 is positive 12 units or 12 units from 0. Find the absolute value of the following numbers. So the absolute value of negative 20 is 20 because it's 20 units from 0. The absolute value of 7 is 7 because 7 is positive 7 units from 0. The absolute value of negative 9 is 9 because it's 9 units from 0. So 20 units from 0, 7 units from 0, and 9 units from 0. So the next one. A submarine is at a depth of 500 meters below sea level. So this is 0 sea level, and it's at 500 meters below zero. What is the absolute value? So the absolute value of a depth of negative 500 is 500 units away. Which number is greater? Negative 4, 2, negative 1, and negative 6. So I'll write the numbers down. Negative 4, positive 2, negative 1, and negative 6. So we have a number line right here. We have 0. Numbers increase to the right and decrease to the left. So if this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6. The lowest number is negative 6 because it's the furthest to the left, but it's asking which number is greater. So the greatest number is positive 2. If they ask for like which number is greater and they ask for the absolute value, then your answer will be different. Order numbers from least to greatest. Okay, so you want to first create a number line. Number lines always help. 0, so the smallest number is the furthest to the left, and the smallest number will be negative 5. So it'll be negative 5 first, then negative 3. See that? Negative 5, negative 3. As I go to the right, the numbers are getting bigger. And because we're going from least to greatest, we go from smallest to biggest. Negative 3, then negative 2, then 0, then positive 4. And that is the numbers ordered from least to greatest. The temperature at 6 a.m. was negative 2 degrees Celsius, and at 6 p.m. it was 5 degrees Celsius. How much did the temperature increase during the day? So at 6 a.m. it was negative 2, And at 6 p.m. it was +6. -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So to get from -2, that's a +1 jump. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it increased 7 degrees Celsius. What is the sum of 245 and 67 hundredths and 89 and 32 hundredths? Sum means to add. And the number you see first is the number that go on top. So 245 and 67 hundredths plus, make sure we pay attention to place value. 89, the 8 is in the tens place, the 9 is in the ones place, decimal point, 32 hundredths. And let's add 7, 8, 9, 6, 7, 8, 9, decimal point. 9 plus 5 is 14. 8 plus 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13. And 2 plus 1 is 3. 334 and 99 hundredths. Not 336, not 385, not 334, 97, 334 and 99 hundredths. The answer is A. Subtract 563 and 45 hundredths. Well, subtract is basically saying subtracting 278 hundredths and 278 and 67 hundredths from 500. So make sure the 2 is in the hundreds place. Line up your digits. Line up your place value. 5 minus 7. You cannot subtract 5 from 7, nor can you do 4 from 6, nor can you do 3 from 8, nor can you do 6 from 7. So you have to borrow from 5. That becomes a 4. That becomes a 16, but you got to still help your friends out. So that becomes a 15. That's a 13. You still got to help. That's a 12. There's a 14. That's a 13. And that's a 15. And since 7 plus 7 is 14 plus 1 more, that's an 8. 6 plus 6 plus 1 more, 7. 8 plus 4 is 12. 7, 8, and that's a 2. 284 and 78 hundredths. I could check my work by adding. Yep. Okay. Sarah bought a book for $12.99, a notebook for $3.50, and a pen for $1.26. How much did she spend in total? So I need to find the sum of all numbers. An A book means 1, a notebook means 1, and a pen. You got to really pay attention to that because it could have said 2 books, 2 notebooks, 2 pens, which you have to multiply before you add, but it's just 1. So let's just add it. Let's just make sure we give space so we can put our correct place value. Plus $3.50. The 3 is in the ones place. And $1.25. The 1 is in the ones place. And $1.25, the 1 is in the ones place. And $1.25, the 1 is in the ones place. And $1.25, the 1 is in the ones place. And $1.25, the 1 is in the ones place. And $1.25, the 1 is in the ones place. And $1.25, the 1 is in the ones place. And $1.25, the 1 is in the ones place. And $1.25, the 1 is in the ones place. And $1.25, the 1 is in the ones place. And $1.25, the 1 is in the ones place. And $1.25, the 1 is in the ones place. And $1.25, the 1 is in the ones place. And $1.25, the 1 is in the ones place. And $1.25, the 1 is in the ones place. And $1.25, the 1 is in the ones place. And $1.25, the 1 is in the ones place. And $1.25, the 1 is in the ones place. And $1.25, the 1 is in the ones place. And $1.25, the 1 is in the ones place. And $1.25, the 1 is in the ones place. And $1.25, the 1 is in the ones place. And $1.25, the 1 is 9 plus 5 is 14. And do you know how I'm thinking about it? 9 is very close to 10, and I know 10 plus 5 is 15. But since it's not 10, minus 1 is 9. So then I know it's 14. Um, 7 plus 9 is 16. Plus one more is 17. Decimal point, you want to line up your decimal point. 3 plus 2 is 5. Plus 2 is 7. And 1. So in total, $17.74. Make sure your dollar sign is on the left side. We know product is multiplication of 6 and 2 tenths and 3 and 4 tenths. So I want you to really pay attention to how I'm doing this. First step is 6 and 2 tenths, and I'm multiplying it by 3 and 4 tenths. Then I move the decimal part over, and that becomes 62 tenths times 34 tenths. These are factors, and these are factors, right? Now I'm going to multiply first. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times, so you got to multiply times that. And 4 times 6 is 24. 2 goes in the hundreds place, 48. Then a placeholder. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 6 is 18. That's a 1 in the hundreds place, 8 in the tens place. Then you add them all up. That's an 8. That's a 10, carry the 1, bring down a 0. That's a 10. That's 11, carry the 1, bring down the 1. And that's a 2. Now, 1/10 times 1/10 is 1/100th, which means that my answer as a 100 means I have to move it over 2 spaces. My answer is 21 and 800. No, no, no. My answer is A. Next, divide 93 and 6/10 by 8. Since I said this number first is our total, which is our divisor, give space 93 and 6/10 divided by 8. 8 goes into 9 one time. 1 times 8 is 8. That's 1, that's a 3. 8 goes into 13 one time. That's a 8. That's a 5. Bring down the 6. 8 goes into 56. 7 times 7, 42. Yep. Make sure the decimal point there is 7 times. So my answer is 1, 11, and 1700. And that makes sense because 8 goes into 93 approximately 11 times because 8 times 11 is 88, and with another it won't be another 8, so it'll be like 11 and something. A recipe calls for 1 and 75 cups of sugar. If you want to make half the recipe, how many cups of sugar? So it looks like you're dividing 1 and 7500 divided by 2. See how I raised that decimal point up? You same here. A lot of people mess this up because they don't raise that decimal point up. 1 can't open the door for 2, so it's a 0. But 17 can divide by 2 8 times at 16. Hook your line, subtract. That's a 1, that's a 15. 2 goes into 15 7 times. That's a 14. 1, bring down a 0. Your decimal point is here, so you need another 0, but you can put a 5 there. So if you want to make half the recipe, you need 875,000 cups. Bonus. Emily spent, think about spent, okay? $29.85 the store, then received. So spend is like a negative, then received $10 discount on her purchase. How much did she pay after the discount? Hmm. So she spent $29.85. But then she had a discount of $10. So you have to subtract that. $10.50. It's a five. That's a three. So after the discount, she paid $19.35. All right. And now do the quiz. If you are stuck, go back to the note. So if stuck, go back to notes for help. Okay? I will grade this and give this back to you so you can see what you're doing. All right. That's all I have. Bye-bye.